Showtime!
Ladies and gentlemen, please make your way to your seats.
Showtime!
Please make your way to your seats. The show is about to begin.
Showtime!
Let the magic begin.
Cannot be explained. Scientists unveil revolutionary SSH2 steel. So this is SS stands for stainless steel. What's the H2 stand for? Hydrogen 2?
Hydrogen. Yeah. So the paper that we're talking about, what it does is it describes a novel stainless steel called SSH2. And this is one of those mistakes that has led to a discovery. So this is really cool. So it's got this SSH2 has remarkably high corrosion resistance compared to conventional stainless steels. What they've done is they've used a sequential dual passivation approach. And this is, again, from the researchers at University of Hong Kong. They were able to develop a steel that withstands corrosion even at voltages over 1700 millivolts in chloride solutions like seawater and things like that. So this is really cool. So dual passivation is a process that involves chemically treating a metal to increase its resistance to corrosion by forming a cohesive, inert, and insoluble oxide layer on its surface. So the major breakthrough, because this is a major breakthrough because stainless steel begins corroding around 1,000 millivolts. So the team achieved this by exploiting the formation of a secondary manganese-based passive layer on top of the usual chromium oxide layer. So the thing that I'm saying is kind of like a oops or a mistake and has led to is manganese is not expected to enhance corrosion resistance based on its chemical makeup and all that. So from a basic science perspective, the microscopic mechanics at play could have broader significance. So the thing is does manganese incorporation induce strain or impact barrier properties? Like there's a whole bunch of things that come into play that they have to explore more because they were surprised that manganese would do this.
Yeah, I think the more they mess with this stuff, the more they're going to find out that, physics works a little bit different than we think when you start mixing these up.
Yes.
So the performance of this new steel in saltwater electrolyzer comparable to the current industry practice uses titanium. So can you explain a little bit about this process? And I didn't see how much longer it lasts. Okay, and how much cheaper than titanium it is. Do you have information around that?
No, I didn't do a huge deep dive into this one. This was one that I'd read about, and then I got busy and wasn't able to deep dive further into this. But the thing is there's a whole bunch of things that come into play here. Life cycle testing, and the biggest thing here is this could be used in the field of hydrogen production, essentially. And I think that's where you're getting at.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how much of a breakthrough this is in hydrogen production. While the cost of the new steel is much cheaper than titanium, which is great, but if it's just replacing titanium and the process is exactly the same and it's not producing anything more, then we're just talking about a material cost. Titanium wears out. Well,
the thing is titanium's expensive, right? So yep. if you're replacing expensive titanium components like the membranes, the electrodes, and the separators, you're drastically reducing capital costs for producing green hydrogen through electrolysis.
Oh, okay. So I understand. So these things are all coated in titanium to keep it from corrosion.
Yeah. So the corrosion resistance and strength lend it well to fabricating kind of large scale standardized electrolyzer units with a reduced need for those protective coatings.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, the other thing too is if you deploy these electrolyzers with the SSH2 in seawater, it avoids desalination requirements.
Desalination requirements. So that takes a huge step out.
Yeah, it takes a huge step out. So the survivability in marine environments, it unlocks floating hydrogen production platforms. It unlocks, I know there's, I think, and I could be conspiracy theorist here right now, I think there's a U.S. ship that actually, a destroyer or something, I don't know what class it is, but that runs on hydrogen. And I think right now they have to desalinate the water before putting it through the electrolyzer process. But here, you wouldn't have to do that with this SSH2.
Yeah, that by itself is very interesting. And the more we bring down the cost of creating hydrogen, the better it's going to be for everyone. So I'm always looking at this cool stuff. And, we are always touting hydrogen is going to be the future, which...
Yep.
And we need to, apparently, we had a comment on one of our videos about when we're talking about hydrogen that we need to look at deuterium depleted water, which apparently is a beneficial side effect of the creation of hydrogen process.
Exactly. Yeah. And not only in hydrogen, but there's other corrosive environments that this could be used in. And I hate to say this, but because obviously we're trying to get away from it, but oil and gas productions could be used in mining operations, smelting, which we definitely want to get away from as much as we can, water treatment. There's a whole bunch of different applications here. But if we're talking about hydrogen, yeah, this could be a game changer for hydrogen production and establishing offshore kind of electrolyzers, transporting over seas, so in cargo ships and all that sort of stuff. There's a whole bunch of different ways that this could be used to kind of change the game for hydrogen production, green hydrogen production.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way everyone's headed. So I found some information here, which is interesting. For example, the total cost of a 10 megawatt electrolysis tank in its current stage is approximately $17.8 million, with the structural components contributing up to 53%. So as an estimate, the employment of SSH2 is expected to cut the cost of the structural material by about 40 times.
That makes that helps to make it more mainstream, right?
Yeah, I mean, 53% of your cost is cut by 40 times. That's significant.
Yeah.
When we're talking about 8 or 9 million, and you probably get that down to 1 million, that becomes a significant chunk.
Yeah.
And
exactly. And the other thing too is we were talking about this SSH2, and if we focus primarily on manganese too, right? Manganese is going to help to reduce the use of a lot of critical materials in this as well. So it reduces chromium. So chromium is a restricted material. And so SSH2 has shown that corrosion resistance with lower chromium content than conventional stainless steel. So there's going to be less chromium that needs to be used. Nickel's also restricted and expensive. So investing in manganese alloying to replace it could create a more sustainable composition. There's a bunch of different things, and so it could reduce its dependency on these restricted and hard to find materials.
And this team is no slouches, right? This is part of Professor Hong's ongoing Super Steel project, which, previous milestones included creation of anti-COVID stainless steel and the development of ultra strong, ultra tough super steel. So this group has been making
he's no slouch.
Yeah. No. Making leaps in this area for a while.
Yeah.
And this really looks interesting. And we're talking about green hydrogen. That the putting green in front of it means that the power used to create the hydrogen was green. The process it was that used to create the hydrogen was green. So because hydrogen is expensive electrically, as well as you can see, we need like $18 million plant to create one at 10 megawatts, which doesn't seem like a lot. It's expensive. And so looking at these things, it's really cool to see this happen. So I take this one step further as we start to see that this is moving towards cheaper, easier hydrogen. When are we going to start seeing it in more practical uses in Canada?
It's a good question. And I'm glad you asked that because I was just reading a couple of articles yesterday, actually, because there are some hydrogen vehicles out there, right? That people are driving around. So the current price of hydrogen, I can't remember what it is. It's high. To fill up one of those tanks costs around $200. And you would think, okay, great, $200 to fill up a tank. Hydrogen, it's going to last. It's going to be efficient. It's going to last a lot longer than typical gas internal combustion engine. No. So it only lasts, the range that you get from it is between 200 to 400 miles.
So the cost of hydrogen right now, the cost range is approximately $1.50 to $5 per kilogram. But for green hydrogen, it's $3 to $7 per kilogram.
Yeah. So by drastically reducing the cost to produce it and making it actually more viable, because now you've this comes down to reducing the cost to produce it, but by enabling you to be able to produce it using salt water, you've eliminated a desalination process in that. So there's so much going on in the world of hydrogen. I was just sitting in on a panel by the Canadian government last week, 2 weeks ago, on hydrogen. But yeah, the cost is really high. The other thing is the infrastructure is not there yet. But this is probably going to help to enable it. And I don't know how long it's going to take to get this to a production scale for the SSH2. Obviously, there has to be a lot more work done in testing because of the manganese and how it might interact with the stainless steel. But there's a lot, and if this is proven, this is going to really help to scale the hydrogen production and reduce that cost.
Yeah, and I'm looking at looking at an article here that says here in BC, the retail price of hydrogen at the pump is $14.70 per kilogram.
Yeah,
it says making it competitive with gasoline on a price per kilometer basis. I don't know if that's true, but
that's no. It could be, but I read two different articles on the cost to fill up. So, but again, that's the other thing too, is the infrastructure is not there, and even I think it was Shell that pulled their hydrogen pumps. So,
and I know in the U.S., and I don't know if they're still doing this. You were getting 3 years of free hydrogen when you bought a hydrogen vehicle.
Yeah, 2 years, I think, or 3 years. Yeah.
It depends where you were, but it's definitely interesting. But yeah, you are limited. You can't just pull in you have to know where those places are.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's even less here in Canada. So
all right, John, this has been great. I'm looking forward to seeing these new technologies as they come to life. What are you working on?
Yeah, so next week I'm excited. For those listening, we've got Startup Drinks that I'm going to be going to. That's your event, Craig. It's one of my favorite events because it allows anyone to go up and pitch if they want. You buy a ticket, you get to pitch. You can pitch yourself, you can pitch your company, you can pitch an idea, whatever. And you can get a bit of liquid courage included with that ticket so that you can get up there and pitch, and then some food to to kind of wash that down, or to kind of fill your stomach. So it's a great event downtown Toronto. I'm looking forward to that on the Leap Day, February 29th. And then on the Tuesday, I'm going to La French Tech's networking event, just a networking meetup at Boston Pizza. So that's really good.
Is that downtown Toronto?
Yeah, that one's downtown Toronto too.
You have both of your events gone past? Didn't you have
this weekend. Yeah, you're right. I gotta pack my suit. So I've got the judging contest for entrepreneurs this weekend, this Sunday at the Hilton, I think it is, in Toronto. That's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. That's through the Future Business Leaders of America, and then had an amazing event with Daniel, Ryan, and Ferial at Creator Club, right by What a Bagel in Toronto. So that was a great event. It was really focused on HR, on branding, and a little bit of funding, but the conversation was really good. It was more of an intimate setting with about 25 people, but there was a lot of good questions, a lot of good conversations.
Yeah, I was frozen there for a bit. Yeah, I'm glad Daniel and the people at Creator Club are great. I've been working with them for a long time. Before Creator Club was around with King Street Media. And Daniel and his team actually created the logo for TorontoStarts. Most people probably don't know that. He
told me that. I forgot to tell you. Yeah.
So it's this thing we talk about. Like, we've been friends in the community for a long time. So anything they do is great. Check out TorontoStarts for all our stuff. Like John said, Startup Drinks TO, February 29th is going to be a great time. If you want to work with John, find him on LinkedIn. John, you were mentioning they just canceled CDAP on Friday of a long weekend, and everybody went a little crazy.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about what happened, or
who knows? We still don't know what happened, but they closed registration. So if you are registered, you can still take advantage of the CDAP program. So reach out to me if you're registered. Happy to help you move that needle forward. But yeah, on the Friday of a long weekend, they announced that the CDAP program is canceled. And it was only a year and a half in, and it was supposed to go on for 4 years. So something happened. They had a lot of funding. So something happened. I don't know what happened, but yeah. Well, if I find out more, I'll let you know. But yeah, other than that, guys, if you're looking for any kind of government funding help, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to have that conversation with you. But crazy about CDAP. It's in my 16 years, I've never seen a communication like that happen. Such a failure in communication there.
Yeah, my speculative mind goes to bad places, so I'm not going to say things because it's all speculation. Anything like I know nothing except for what you told me, so I'm not going to. You know what I think happened?
Exactly. I think you and I share the same sentiment on what we think happened.
Yeah. So we can do that on a conspiracy or projection thing. I don't want to cast shade on anyone when I'm just speculating. But that's great, John. If you want to talk about funding, reach out to John Irwin on LinkedIn. I work with startups all the time. If you're struggling with getting your startup off the ground or growth strategies, market penetration, give me a shout. Go to startupcoach.ca, book a discovery call. We can chat and we can talk about how I can get you on the right track and get you moving.
Yeah.
That's about it, John.
Okay.
We'll see you. If I don't physically see you, I'll see you on Thursday at Startup Investor Drinks.
For sure. Thanks, Craig.
Wow, that was